March 14th, 2026. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted Russian soldiers. Soldiers attempting to take up positions in the forests of the Donetsk region's interior were spotted one by one and became targets. Look at the attacks. The soldiers are struggling quite a bit to escape the drone, but there are hardly any soldiers trying to defend themselves. What exactly is the reason for this? Why do you think some of these soldiers don't even have weapons? In the same region, the Donetsk region, Russian soldiers continued to be targeted one by Ukraine's FPV drones. Did you see the soldier trying to hide behind the tree? The drone had already noticed him and quickly launched the attack. Instead of relying on the weapon in his hand and firing, he chose to run. In your opinion, what kind of weapon would be more effective for soldiers against drones? Because it's very clear that they cannot hit drones with automatic firearms. These attacks involve soldiers who were caught by the drone at very bad moments. Poor timing, wrong hiding spots, and panic. Each mistake makes the soldiers easy targets for the drones. This soldier tried to stop the drone with his foot. The soldiers on the front lines had only one chance to escape the drone: to run. Even so, against such fast drones, that wasn't enough. Now take a look at the moments when many Russian soldiers come under attack. These scenes clearly reveal the reality of the situation along the front line. In many different locations, Russian soldiers can be seen trying to hide in abandoned areas, ruined buildings, or isolated positions. Despite these efforts to remain concealed, they are often still detected by drones monitoring the battlefield from above. For example, just look at that soldier. Even though he had a weapon, he didn't mount any defense against the drone. Also, we want to mention that the likes and comments from you, our valued followers, provide us with a huge morale boost. We look forward to your support. You've seen soldiers fighting by running away from drones. What you're seeing here, however, are those who choose to remain motionless. Whenever a drone appears, Russian soldiers choose to remain motionless. This is a situation frequently observed on the front lines. So why do you think Russian soldiers don't react to attacks or choose to wait until the very last moment? Russian soldiers who were advancing toward the front lines in a large group in a military vehicle were hit by a drone strike just like that. Now you'll see just how careful FPV drone operators are. A soldier spotted among the rubble in the Donetsk region began running quickly. The drone launched an attack and, despite numerous obstacles, performed highly precise maneuvers to reach the soldier. Another similar attack, again in the same region, only a few kilometers away at a different location. This soldier who was spotted also tried to defend himself. However, he could not make an accurate shot at the drone, which was quite small and moving very fast. The footage reveals the desperate situation of Russian troops on the front lines. Due to the unmanned aerial vehicles constantly flying over the battlefield, the soldiers had virtually no chance of escaping. Some tried to flee. Others attempted to shoot down the unmanned aerial vehicles. However, their efforts were in vain. The soldiers were picked off one by the FPV unmanned aerial vehicles. The soldiers' panic and lack of training in the face of drones turned into an advantage for the FPV drones. The FPV drone is once again after a Russian soldier. When the soldier emerged from the house he was hiding in and encountered the drone, he started to flee. The drone operator followed him calmly, without rushing. The soldier's lack of response to the drone shows that he has no weapon. The soldier who encountered the drone has very limited options. He needs to find a safe place, but there is nowhere to hide. The soldier was so desperate that he even hid behind a tree. After being followed for a while, the soldier ultimately became the drone's target. The soldier, who was the next target of the drones, became their target by a matter of seconds. He was actually about to enter a safe path against the drones, walking toward a road covered with nets and barbed wire for defense. However, the fast-moving Ukrainian FPV drone struck him before he could reach the safe zone. The drone hit the soldier so violently that he could not survive such an attack. This soldier failed to notice the drone lying in wait on the ground. By the time the drone launched its attack, there was nowhere left for him to flee. This time, a Russian soldier was spotted in the Lyman region. The soldier, whose destination was unclear, was followed for a while. As the close surveillance continued, an FPV drone was sent for the attack. Encountering the drone in the open field, the soldier threw himself to the ground. This meaningless attempt at defense did not help him at all. On the contrary, it made him an easy target. Now, Russian military vehicles on the move are also in the drone's sights. Ukrainian FPV drones carried out attacks throughout the day on Russian logistical routes. Russian forces on the front tried to reach their trenches while under drone attack, but this was not possible. If you look closely, you will notice that the vehicles used by the soldiers are quite old models. Why are Russian forces using old type vehicles on the front line? An FPV drone hovered in front of a trench. Just as a Russian soldier heard the sound and tried to look out, the drone exploded. First, an attack was launched on a trench. Then, a Russian soldier emerged from inside and began running. The Russian soldier immediately tried to take cover in another nearby location. Then a second drone attack was launched. The soldier was unable to escape. Just a few meters away from the trench, additional soldiers were spotted moving around. A drone was dispatched for each of them. The drones, which gave chase, targeted the soldiers one by one. West of the front line, near the Pokrovsk region, 2 Russian soldiers were spotted in an open field. When they noticed the incoming drone, they looked for cover, but the terrain was completely exposed. The only thing they could hide behind was a single power pole standing in the middle of the field. The FPV drone began circling around them, watching their every move. Then suddenly, another drone rushed in from behind and launched a fast attack. By pure luck, the 2 soldiers survived the first strike. But when the FPV drone prepared for a second attack, they weren't that lucky anymore. They might have had a chance to shoot the drone down, but they couldn't do it. What do you think they should have done in that situation? In this attack, the target was Russian soldiers who were resupplying. The soldiers, who had gathered to unload military supplies from the trucks, became the target of a HIMARS strike. This strike demonstrates that Ukraine is keeping Russia's supply lines under constant control. Take a close look at the bomb on the ground. This is a KAB bomb used by the Russian Air Force. It was dropped but, for an unknown reason, did not explode. A Ukrainian drone moved to neutralize the bomb and detonated it by hitting it with the explosive it was carrying. A very unusual shelter built by a Russian soldier was detected. Yet, it was completely destroyed with just one drone. FPV drones are targeting not only soldiers, but also military vehicles and fortified positions. First, a Russian tank that had been camouflaged at a position in the Donetsk region was neutralized multiple times through drone attacks. Due to its very thick armor, multiple drones were required. Ultimately, it was rendered inoperable. In the Donetsk region, numerous unmanned aerial vehicles, controlled by the Azov and Signum units, continued to attack many Russian targets. This time, the target was a Russian military vehicle. The drone performed a precise maneuver and managed to hit exactly the driver's compartment of the vehicle. Military vehicles and military communication equipment on the front lines were specifically targeted. Do you think traditional trenches and armored vehicles can still hold their ground in a battlefield dominated by drones? Share your thoughts in the comments. Ukrainian forces launched a large-scale operation. These attacks took place in the most intense and critical areas of the front. Vehicles, soldiers, and equipment belonging to Russian forces in the Pokrovsk, Donetsk, and Lyman regions were struck by hundreds of drones in just 1 week. Look closer at the targets. There is significant military equipment among them. But what stands out the most is the way Russian forces are advancing on the front in a chaotic, actually disorganized formation. It's as if the command structure has collapsed. with soldiers spread out in all directions. Abandoned vehicles, critically exposed military ammunition, and equipment are each a clear example of this disorder. Look at the targeted military equipment. These are the most critical resources of an army on the front. Communication tools. For a week, Ukrainian forces specifically focused on these targets. Russian forces suffered massive losses in logistics, communication, and supply on the front. Soldiers tried to defend their positions with inadequate support. Now, take a close look at the moments when many Russian soldiers come under attack. These scenes clearly illustrate the current situation along the front line and the dynamics of the conflict. Although Russian soldiers are often targeted by just a single FPV drone, these attacks highlight the heavy losses Russian forces are sustaining against drone operations. Even a single drone strike can be lethal for a small group of soldiers. Russian authorities claim they carry out up to 1,500 drone attacks in a single day, yet footage from the field shows that Ukrainian forces maintain significant control over the front line through their drone operations. Another striking observation is the movement patterns of Russian soldiers. Those wandering aimlessly on the battlefield without a clear route effectively make themselves easy targets for modern drone surveillance. Even strategies like moving alone instead of in groups are often ineffective against the speed and precision of FPV drones. So, is this behavior a deliberate tactic, or is it a result of poor coordination and planning? The uncertainty in their movements not only leads to individual losses, but also weakens the overall effectiveness of their units. Share your thoughts with us in the comments.